Hey, welcome back. Hope you're all well. I've got something really special today. And I'd like to thank Edgar Brothers in the UK for making it possible for me to get hold of this. It's the first Spyderco we've ever reviewed on the channel. So we did do a Spyderco look and see at one of the shows. I think that was at EWA, and we had a look over what was coming out there and a chat to one of their top guys who ran us through some of their process and stuff. I've always liked Spyderco. For some reason, it's just something I've never got round to buying. I haven't avoided them. It's just one of those weird things. You know, I've not owned a Benchmade, and I've not owned a Spyderco, so it was time to pop the Spyderco cherry. I've always liked them, and I'm very pleased to say we finally got one, and it's a bit of a special one. So this is the Shaman model, and that's been getting a lot of great reviews. You know, it's a really nice knife, and they did a sprint run, a limited edition sprint run with a CPM 15V high grade steel in it. It's like a specialist metallurgy steel. So CPM, for those that don't know, was invented back in the 70s by Crucible Industries, and it's become very popular in the knife world. It stands for Crucible Particle Metallurgy. And basically it's a way of producing a higher grade of steel than you could normally through, you know, your conventional means. You get a much closer and more consistent knit of particles within the steel, so it produces a very consistent piece of metal, and it's kind of free of any inclusions or any problems that you might sometimes get, you know, in your conventional methods. The downside of CPM in all forms is that it's obviously more expensive because of the processing involved, so they tend to be found on the higher end knives and limited edition runs, etc. This is the first piece of CPM I've had hold of, and so far I'm super impressed with it. Obviously they cost a bit more than, you know, your standard steels, but what you do get in these top steels is a lot of edge retention, so you wouldn't need to sharpen this for quite some time. That is its pros and cons, because if you're not good at knife sharpening and you don't really know what you're doing, then it might take you a while to get this CPM steel a bit sharp. But if you do know what you're doing and you're using some decent equipment, it won't be an issue. So onto the Shaman. Obviously Spyderco box. It came in a plastic wrap, which I've obviously removed, and inside the box you just get a little sticker and the Spyderco manual there, which has got some basic information. And this particular model is marked as the C229GPBN15V Shaman 15V. So it's made in the USA, because not all Spydercos are made in the US now. You know, they make some in another country, and the US blades tend to be probably their more expensive stuff. So really nice chunky design. It's got brown G10 handles on there, really nice and smooth, and they have got a little bit of a texture to them. I don't know if you can just see the texture on there. It's just a tiny bit of texture, but enough to make it a little bit grippy, so it's not, you know, really slippery. We have the blade, so really nice big leaf shaped blade with the classic Spidey hole, which obviously you can use, you know, for opening and shutting. You can just get a finger through, open it up, you can get a thumb, open it up with that, and then it locks on this compression lock in the back, which just pushes across, and then you can fold shut. And you can actually do it one-handed. It's a bit dodgy with the left, because it actually swings down, and it's not too dangerous because it just stops there, and then you can shut it with a single finger. Probably easier for right-handers. Flick them out, and with the right you can actually get all your fingers out the way and just push that across and then shut it completely up. So that's really, really finger safe if you're a righty. If you're a lefty like me, you kind of have to be a bit more maverick and use a kind of double motion on that. Lovely, lovely chunky blade. Awesome shape. 3.5 inch blade overall, and the cutting edge is 3.10 inches. Close length is 4.67 inches, and the overall length of this knife is 8.25 inches. So it's not a small knife, guys, you know, and the handle, as you can see, plenty enough. And if I choke up there, the handle just pokes out the bottom. So it does have that choil in there, and then it has another recess there. So you could hold it way back there, and you're sat up on the gym pin, which is also excellent, very, very comfortable, but certainly thick enough to get a purchase on. Or you can move right up there, choke up on it, and just sit your finger in that choil back here, which is also got the gym pin, so your finger isn't going to go anywhere. Very, very comfortable. You've got multiple options for your clip. Just 3 screws in there, and you can mount that either side, top or bottom, up to you. And then you've got a lanyard hole in the base. I don't run lanyards, but if you do, there's your option there. Nice and smooth. It was a tiny bit sticky when I first got it, and I just, you know, it had some of the sort of old factory oil in there. So I did take it apart and give it a good clean, and just stuck some decent grade knife oil in there. If you find you've got a sticky knife, one of the most important things to do, clean it all out. And they've generally been over oiled, because if they're going to sit them in a factory for God knows how long, they're going to chuck a load of oil in there to make sure nothing goes bad or rusty or whatever if they've got a bit of a damp atmosphere. And the best bet is to just clean all that out, because it might not be the best oil in the world, but normally what you find is there's just too much oil in them. And then just put a very small amount of oil over all the working parts, and you get a nice smooth action. And it drops shut. It doesn't drop shut immediately, which I quite like, because although they're kind of cool to fiddle around with, they do add a kind of element of danger, because if they snap shut too quick and you've got your fingers in the way, that can be an issue. With this, like I say, being a lefty, I can just drop it like that and then flick it down so it's not going to snap shut on my fingers. The compression lock's nice and easy to function. Again, that had a little bit of stick to it when I first got it, but after a few openings, that is just absolutely fine now, nice and smooth. And that's just the metal wearing against each other and kind of finding its happy medium point. Now, blade wise, this thing is absolutely awesome. Nice big bellied blade on there. Really, really sharp tip. The thing is sharp in general. I mean, it's shaving sharp, no problem at all. It's pretty thick, 0.145 inches or 3.7 mil. Drop point, full flat grind. And then it comes with, I think, what they call the Brown Bear logo on there for these sprint runs. And then obviously your Spyderco on there. And then at the bottom there, it says Golden, Colorado. At the bottom there, it says Golden, Colorado, USA, Earth, just in case you were so impressed with the steel that you thought it had come from a different planet. A lovely looking knife. You know, it's a real pleasure to hold. It's a pleasure to own. It's super comfortable. I love the form factor of this handle. It's really, really rugged and robust. You can get a really good grip on it, like I say, in both those different planes. And it's, if you've got big hands, this is ideal. I'd like to do a comparison when I get hold of a PM2. I'll just put the two up together, but I've been told this is kind of similar in feel to the PM2 with maybe a bit more of a deep belly in the blade. It's not a light knife as one would expect because of its size, so this isn't something that's, you know, it's not a 3 ounce backpacker job. This is coming in at 5.11 ounces, 145 grams. But to put that into context, I have seen people, you know, battening with these things and really putting them through their paces. And to be fair, you know, these things are built for durability. Would I batten with this? No, I don't batten with folders, to be honest. I might do if I was, you know, stuck out in the wilderness and I didn't have any option. But these knives aren't cheap, especially these sprint runs, if you can still get hold of them. Like I say, Edgar Brothers had a couple in stock. They might still have some more in the UK, so check them out. I'll drop a link below. They're an awesome company to deal with. A lot of people actually think Edgar's will only supply to the trade, and they do supply to the trade. That, you know, that's one of their main things they do, but they're also happy to supply to individuals. In terms of supplying to individuals, what they won't do in terms of competition is try and compete on sale prices with the people that they supply to. So they won't compete with their own distributors, which is sensible. So you might not find sales at Edgar's, but what you will do is find stock, because a lot of these knives are really difficult to get hold of. You'll see them on the internet advertised for all kinds of cool sale prices, and then when you ring the place up, you find actually, you know, they haven't got any in stock, they're not getting any in stock, and they're just kind of drawing people in with these cool, crazy looking prices, and they had a unit a year ago or whatever. At Edgar's, you know, they do carry a good amount of stock, and the price is the price, you get what you pay for, but at least they've actually got the thing rather than just kind of clickbaiting you into getting on their website. So really pleased with this. I've taken it out in the woods. You've probably seen a bit of the footage I've spliced in already and just put it through its paces. And to be honest, I've been carrying this every single day since I got it, just because it is such a joy. And one of the things with these knives, you know, when you get a high-end knife, it's tempting to kind of stick it on the side and treat it like a precious little baby and never really use it. But that's a real shame. You know, these things are made to be used, so I do take it out. I do use it. Like I said, I'm not going to start battening through massive logs with it, but it gets used as I would with any other folding pocket knife. I'm not too precious about that. And the good thing about these compression locks is they do give a bit more of an added strength to the thing folding shut. You know, that they're less likely to fail than what you would with a frame lock or a liner lock, just because of the way they apply the pressure to the blade there, that it's virtually impossible. If you were to try and fold that down, it's actually trying to push this whole thing back, and that's in a skeletonized stainless steel liner, so that is not going to move backwards. You know, you would have to put an insane amount of strength through there, whereas if you get a frame lock or a liner lock, there is a chance under enough tension that could just move sideways, because that's how it's designed. You know, it moves left and right, and they could in effect actually fail on you at probably a lot lighter load than what something like this would. So that's the kind of thing you're paying the extra money for. And of course, the fact that it's a Spyderco and they make awesome knives, they're going to trade a little bit on the fact that they've got an excellent reputation and a good brand name, just like any other company. You know, you can find knives that maybe are of similar quality, but they haven't got the strength of brand to trade on. I think these guys have a pretty good warranty. Let's have a look. So the warranty on these Spydercos is a limited warranty, limited lifetime. So what that means is, if I buy one of these and I'm the first purchaser of it and I bought it from you, I've got the receipt, that means that if anything goes wrong, if it's a manufacturing defect, or, you know, the knife didn't stand up to the general use that I was giving it, they will fix it or replace it for me if I send it back. That doesn't count if you're kind of doing crazy stuff with it. So if I'm trying to pry a car door open and I snap the blade in half, then they're not going to warranty that, because that isn't really what the knife was designed for. The same if you drop it or run it over or whatever. but they are decent guys to deal with. I know a lot of people that have owned Spydercos and dealt with Spyderco, and they will generally replace things for you if you've broken them. The difference being that obviously you will pay for that if it's a fault of your own, but they're a really good company to deal with, which goes hand in hand with the fact that they've got an excellent reputation. So retail on these in the UK from Edgar's, you're looking at about £350, which I know people are going to say, oh, that's too much, you know, but bear in mind, it's a limited edition. There's not a huge amount of them out there. I believe they still have them in stock. And to be fair, you could probably buy one of these at 350 and probably get rid of it without using it for 400 right now, and you would stand a good chance of selling it and just making a profit that way, because they are highly desirable to Spyderco collectors. I know there's going to be people in the comments maybe in the US that go, oh, it's not fair, you've reviewed that and I can't buy it now. We'll keep an eye out. You know, they do come up on the second-hand market, and sometimes with these limited edition sprint runs, if they prove really popular, Spyderco do a kind of another limited edition sprint run again. I don't know if they will here, but you know, it's certainly worth keeping an eye out, but mainly you're going to be keeping an eye on the second-hand market and trying to get one that way. If you go to knife shows and stuff like that, you can normally find things like that there, and you generally find that they haven't lost a penny off of their price, because, you know, they're desirable items. So while people may think it's a lot of money for a knife, it's actually a bit of an investment, because it's a bit like buying an expensive watch. You know, if you buy a cheap watch and try and sell it later on, it's worth virtually nothing. You're not going to get any money back. If you bought a Casio watch, it's going to be worth, you know, 1/100th of the price you paid for it originally. If you buy something like a Rolex and you take good care of it, it's probably still going to be worth the same money in 5 years' time, and it might even be worth more. If you buy a limited edition Rolex, you're going to be making profit. And the same with these knives. You know, you buy a high-end knife that's in limited numbers, you're going to actually keep the value of that knife, which makes a nice change from the normal devaluing of everything that we get these days. So would I recommend this? 100%. I think it's absolutely awesome. I love it. I will continue to use it. I absolutely love the blade shape. I love the feel. It's so comfortable. I like the look of it. It's nice and robust. It's probably one of the most robust but easy to carry knives that I've ever had. You know, there's a few others I've used from other companies that have been really robust, but to be honest, they're kind of overbuilt so much that they're a bit of a pain to carry around. This one I've been carrying all the time, as well as my Bradford Guardian, and I don't have any issues with it at all. I don't even know it's there. So yeah, uber comfortable. It's not the deepest carry in the world, so you do get a bit of a peek out of the pocket, but I don't notice, you know, it's not giving me any problems when I'm carrying it. So absolutely perfect in that regard. For me, as a folder, this is as near as good as it can get. I haven't had to sharpen it yet. I've cut loads and loads of stuff up with it, and it's still holding its edge just fine. I would expect it to carry on doing so for quite a while. The reason you want that edge holding is because if you go out and you're using this and you're, you know, a consistent user, and you're not going back home and you haven't got a decent sharpening system with you, you don't want your knife going blunt in the field, and you don't really want to be sharpening, you know, knives in the field on bits of rock and stuff like that. That's kind of where you might buy like a £15 budget knife and just keep that in the back pocket, and emergency backup if you need to sharpen that on the rock. Hey, it's 15 quid or $15 or whatever, you're not going to lose out. There's no way you would want to start rubbing this on a piece of rock. So the best next option is to not need to have so much edge retention that it will just keep on trucking until you've come back from your trip or whatever. So absolutely ideal, thoroughly recommended. If you can get one, get one. You won't regret it, I promise you. There we go. We've broken the Spyderco Cherry. Maybe we'll do Benchmade next, who knows? But I'll probably be buying another couple of Spydercos after this, because I absolutely love this one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Been a pleasure. Hope to see you all again soon. Take care. Have a great one.